from Reason Alliance Media. This is Season 1, Episode 6, the Ship in a Bottle episode. I'm Miss B. Haven, and on today's episode, we have Your Faves Are Problematic with Miss Anthrope about Gilmore Girls. We've got Bella Constrictor speaking to her friend KT about body image and body positivity. Then we have Miss B, that's me, and Bella Constrictor talking about NaNoCon, and finally, another adventure with Princess SparkleFarts. Stay tuned.
This is Miss Anthrope with my new segment that I would like to call Your Faves Are Problematic, where I talk about some of my favorite and hopefully your favorite things in pop culture that actually are really problematic. So what I would like to talk about today is the Gilmore Girls. And I think I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the original show than the revival, just because I have a lot more to say about Rory Gilmore's college years, as I am currently a woman in my college years. And I think the revival deserves its own segment, actually. There's just enough in there for us to take it pretty far from there. But okay, so I am currently, just to give a little update on my situation, I'm currently sitting in the attic of a church in Virginia trying to record this quietly. So if this comes off a little quiet, then that's what's happening there. I could tell you why I'm here, but I would rather talk about the Gilmore Girls. Okay, so let's start off with what I actually like about Gilmore Girls, because I felt like this was just an enormously influential show to young women when it came out. And going on from there, I actually didn't watch it until my freshman year of college, and I immediately identified so much with Rory Gilmore, as, you know, I was very, very close to my mother in pretty much the same way that she was, as someone who saw myself as a lot more book smart and academically oriented than other people in my school, as someone who had recently transitioned from a public school to a private school. So I was starting to realize exactly how far behind I was and how much catching up I had to do. So in total, I had a lot in common with Rory Gilmore, and still think I do, although the revival makes me question if that's a good thing or not. Okay, so I also really liked that Lorelai was a single mom who was a teenage mom and was portrayed as a successful woman who, you know, ends up running her own business at the Dragonfly Inn. I thought that was spectacular for a TV show, to show a woman who successfully raised a daughter all on her own, you know, especially in a society where we kind of pregnancy shame women who decide to carry a baby when they're teenagers, in pretty much the same way we abortion shame women who decide not to do that. So either way, you can't win. That's not really the point of this. It's just something that I like to say. Okay, so now we can move on to the bad things. And I think my main purpose today is I'm just going to talk about all the men suck on this show, except Michelle, but he's kind of reduced to just either a gay joke or a foreign accent joke for most of the show, so I can't even say much for him. But yeah, okay. Let's start with Rory's boyfriends. We have Dean. He was very, very sweet to her at the beginning. He really was. The first time that I decided I didn't like Dean was when there was an episode. Oh God. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was called. Okay. I don't remember what the episode was called, but an episode, I think in the first season or maybe the second of Gilmore Girls, when, Dean decided to let Lorelai and Rory know that his ideal woman would be a wife waiting at home with a dinner on the table for him. And that's okay. That's understandable. I guess everyone has their own gender roles that they feel comfortable with. And if that were to be the role that Rory felt comfortable with, then that would be a great thing for him to say. But he got into a relationship with Rory knowing that she was a very independent girl and very driven towards academia. So I highly doubt that he was considering that to be something constructive for him to say. I feel like he was already trying to tear her down. And as the story went on and Rory kind of drifted apart from him more and more, they just became two different people. And instead of realizing that and letting her go, Dean got very controlling and very clingy and possessive and jealous. And, rightfully jealous. Rory was with Jess part of that time. But still, he did not make for a very loving boyfriend so much as he made for a possessive boyfriend. That is a similar experience to what I had and what I think a lot of girls had with their first boyfriend, where the relationship kind of goes on a little bit too long and it becomes more about owning each other than respecting each other. So that's not the lesson that we would like to share with people. Moving on to my least favorite of the Gilmore boyfriends, which is a hard thing to do because I hated all of them. Okay. I got to talk about Jess. I know he's so dreamy, but he's the worst. He's the absolute worst human being. Okay. He lied to her on multiple occasions. He never fulfilled his promises to her. He was totally okay with, enabling her to make poor decisions in regards to her current relationship with Dean while she was still with him. He did not respect her mother. He did not respect most authority. And I know respect is a tricky situation in and of itself, especially respect for authority. But I do think that it says a lot for his character that he was not particularly respecting the wishes of adults in his life as far as, going to school or making, smart decisions for his future, such as those. I know he didn't have the best role models in his parents or his Uncle Luke, who I'm definitely getting to. But I have so many friends who are just Team Jess, Team Jess, Team Jess. I can't do it. He can't redeem himself. He was probably the worst boyfriend that Rory had in terms of how he treated her and in terms of development of the relationship. They really fought and made out. And I don't remember. I know I watched this show 2 years ago, but I don't remember anything other than that happening substantially. I don't think there was anything except when he came to see her at college, which was weird and stalker-ish. You don't just show up at somebody's university at their dorm without announcing that you're going to come in the middle of the night. I'm sorry, that's not romantic. That's creepy as hell. Okay. But I can't get on my Jess tangent because then this is going to be a 20-minute long segment and we don't have time for that. And Miss B will fire me. She probably won't. She loves me. Okay. So now we get to talk about Logan. And Logan stole my heart. Okay. I hated him at the beginning because he represented everything that I disliked about fratty college boys and the 1% that they seem to be a part of all the time. But I grew to love him so much because he took Roy with him on these amazing adventures and he really seemed to be authentic with her all the time and support who she was and support her writing and things like that. So he definitely won me over. He stole my heart a little bit. But the problem with Logan, actually, two main problems with Logan. One is that he completely relied on his parents' money for everything. And that it doesn't matter how dreamy you are. It doesn't matter how well you treat, well, I guess it doesn't matter how well you treat other people, but it doesn't matter how smart you are if every connection you have is because your father's well known. You know what I mean? That wasn't that wasn't the boyfriend that I knew Rory deserves. So, and I think she was very tempted for a while to kind of have the easy way out with him and take an internship with his dad and use his money to fly out to, well, if we talk about a year in the life, then she was flying out to England all the time to see him. And let's not get into that. That's a whole, oh my God. Okay, now I'm upset at Rory again. I'm very upset with Rory. Aren't we all? Okay. So the other problem that I had with Logan was that he was so anxious whenever he realized how he actually had Rory, as if he can possess a human being. He was anxious to clip her wings and initiate her into this upper crust society as an arm piece for him. When he proposed right before she graduated, I was like, why is this happening? The timing was very obviously, nobody times a proposal like that unless it's to keep someone from doing something. And that's something that I really believe. I don't think that you propose to somebody at a special event specifically for them unless you know that that is a turning point in their life and you want to make sure that when they go further on their life path, they are not leaving you behind. That's a little bit insecure, which isn't healthy for the relationship. And beyond that, it kind of dehumanized Rory to him to make her into, this woman that he wants to be with without regards to what her personal plans for her future are. And I know that Bella is sure to have something to say about that in regards to relationship or healthy relationship advice, because she is the resident expert on that, not me. I'm just the resident expert on all the problems that I have with the Gilmore girls, apparently. Let's just talk about Luke for like half a second, and then I'll move on from the boyfriends, I promise, because this is not about all the white boyfriends. Wow, they are all white. Wow, okay. So, let's add that to my list of problems I have with the Gilmore girls. Please get some sexy brown men in there. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so my problems with Luke begin with the toxicity of masculinity and end with the toxicity of masculinity. Oh my God. He's so hard to get along with. I don't know how Lorelai does it. I guess because she's just a stubborn character in herself, but he finds it impossible to talk about his emotions or his feelings because it's emasculating to him, which is one of the least healthy traits that I've seen in relationships with men in my life, that they find anytime they decide to show or share how they feel about someone, it makes them less of a man. That doesn't make you less of a man. That makes you less of a communicator. And to be less of a communicator is to basically sabotage your romantic and probably platonic relationships as well. So that sucks. Okay. He has a stick up his ass and I hate him. Okay. Sorry. I hate Luke. I wish that he had more respect for Lorelai than he does for himself, but he has respect for neither. Feel free to agree or disagree with me on that one. Okay. Moving on. There's so much to unpack here with mother and daughter relationships with the Gilmore girls. Alright. So let's talk about mother-daughter relationships for a hot minute. Let's do this generationally working down. So the Emily and Lorelai relationship is profoundly struggling throughout the series. That's obvious. It's like, oh, the sky is blue and Emily and Lorelai don't get along. Okay, so I think that the Gilmore Girl generational thing really encompasses the problems that we come up against when we as women do not support each other as women and support our independent choices. So we start with, Emily Gilmore and Lorelai Gilmore. I think the furthest back we ever get into their histories when Lorelai was maybe like 11 or 12, something like that. But we do know that Emily was a very controlling mother all the time. She was a very, I would say strict, but I wouldn't say strict so much as manipulative would be the word that I would go with. And we know that that led Lorelai to rebel from a very young age. I think she said along the way sometimes she was, sexually active from the time she was like 14, 15, something like that. And I don't want to sex shame anyone. I just know that she did mention that was not a result of her personal desire, but more a result of her desire to make her parents mad, which is not a good way to start any sexual relationship. And I think that was a big part of her relationship with Chris as well, which led to the creation of our final Gilmore girl, Rory. So she leaves her mother's house when she has her baby, runs away to an inn, and starts working there and starts her own life. Yay. Go Lorelai. I love it. I'm so happy. I 100% support that decision, and I think it's even braver her being so young, but I do know that caused, like an irreparable rift in her relationship with her mother, which if we don't have mother-daughter relationships, what do we have, my feminist friends? The answer is a lot of things, but, it's nice to have a mother-daughter relationship that works. And Emily continues to take out her aggression for the relationship issues that were caused by a young teenager who was also a mother and had not fully, formed her decisions yet. She's very young, not old enough to, I don't think 16 is old enough to make good decisions about your future, but what do I know? A lot. I was 16 once. So she continues to be angry at her daughter about decisions that she made when she was 16 and 17 years old, and that absolutely ruins any chance of reconciliation that they would have later. The best thing that Emily could do is talk to her daughter and say, I forgive you for leaving, and I want you back in my life. But what she would rather do is hold money over her head by funding Rory's education. And then eventually, what she would rather do, is hold money over Lorelai's head through her funding of Rory's education, and then eventually try to turn Rory against her mother when Rory moves in with her for the summer and when she drops out of college and all that's going on. It's just a big mess. Okay. Moving on to the Rory-Lorelai relationship. This is the number one complaint I've seen about Gilmore Girls, I think, on social media and in, think pieces I've read on different websites. I can't think of any off the top of my head because it's been a couple of years since I read them, but if I find them, they will be in the show notes. I'm sure just a cursory Google search will take you to plenty of problems about mother-daughter relationships in the Gilmore Girls. But what I have seen the most reactions to are the amount of emotional labor that Rory performs on behalf of her mother from a young age. I think when the show starts, Rory's supposed to be 14, 15, something like that. And from that age, and we see very soon from a lot earlier on, Rory has been taking care of her mother just as much as Lorelai has been taking care of her. So that's a lot of responsibility to put on a young child. And we know that a lot of that came from the fact that Rory's age at the beginning of the show is pretty much the same age that Lorelai was when she had Rory. And we're kind of shown throughout the show that Lorelai never really got to grow up exactly in the way that we want to say, most people grow up. She, became best friends with her daughter instead of having a mother-daughter relationship. And as a result of that, when she has personal problems, she brings that to the table in her relationship with her daughter instead of bringing that to, other adults. She does bring it to other adults. She talks to Suki about it. But I feel like this is a relationship in which it would be actually really beneficial for Lorelai to have a good relationship with her mother instead of having to bring her own problems, such as her problems at work or her problems with Luke and, many other men throughout the series, instead of bringing those to her daughter to worry about. I very distinctly remember when Lorelai and Luke broke up, Lorelai staying in bed for several days and Rory coming to comfort her and tell her it's going to be okay. And that was a really sweet moment. That was a really good show of, affection and support for her mother. But thinking about it, it made me wonder about the fact that Rory found it to be her responsibility to take care of Lorelai. And that's not the case. I feel like there were a lot of episodes in the show. Especially there's the one where Paris and her friends meet Lorelai, and they say it's kind of like having a big sister, where it shows that Rory did not grow up with a mother who had a healthy mothering relationship with her. And I think that shows when they eventually get in a fight and Rory chooses to move out so that she won't have to be around her. They have this kind of tumultuous thing going on that later on shows as well when Rory's making some poor life decisions. I think that the whole idea that Amy Sherman Palladino had was to show the circle of life. Never mind. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. Was to show the circle of what happens when women do not have proper healthy relationships with one another, do not set proper boundaries, or do not set good examples for their daughters. Okay, unfortunately, I believe that's all the time I have to complain right now, but don't worry, I will be back to talk about racism probably, or something else that bothered me in the year in the life, because there was a lot that bothered me there. Okay, love you, bye.
It's time to celebrate with Miss Andrea's Bathhouse. It has been 1 year of smashing the patriarchy and smelling marvelous together. That's right, it's been 1 whole year since Miss Andrea's has been in business, and they're celebrating with the best beauty box ever. This month, and this is for the April box, your box will feature 7 celebratory samples and a bunch of extra fun party favors, including artwork, trinkets, candy, stickers, and more super fun secret stuff. Make sure you follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr for super secret sneak peeks throughout the month. Pre-orders will be open throughout the month of March, and boxes will ship April 1st. Because they have so many fun extras from their favorite artists and crafters, sales are limited for this one, and we cannot guarantee that the box won't sell out early. As usual, U.S. shipping is included in the box price, and international shipping is only $10, so check it out at www.missandry.com. Thanks to our partnership with Miss Andrea's Bathhouse, we are able to give you, our listeners, an exclusive promo code PSF10, as in PSF10, and that'll get you 10% off at missandry.com.
Hello everyone, it's Bella Constrictor, and I'm here with my really good friend KT. She just did something recently that has helped her a lot to overcome some body issues that she's been dealing with for a long time, and I really wanted to talk to her about that and have her share her journey with you guys. So, KT, welcome to Promoting Secular Feminism.
Hey!
Yeah. So we've known each other for a while, right? Like
8 years?
I don't know, has it been that long? At least since the beginning of college.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah. Yeah, so why don't you tell the audience a little bit about maybe what you do, beyond the fact that you think you're pretty now, I guess. But
well, should I talk about my work or my personal work?
Whichever you feel more passionate about, I guess.
Well,
both are very cool.
I'd say I'm a bit more passionate about my personal work, although my corporate work, the 9-to-5 job, has some cool stuff, but my personal work really is kind of my, bread and butter. It's what really motivates me. It's what keeps me moving throughout the day. Because it's all about just creating. My whole thing is about customization. I really like making products and figuring out how to make products that people want. And what I've been specializing in is glass etching and custom ceramics like mugs. Yes. And I love doing the design work. I love doing problem solving and figuring out when someone comes to me and they want something on, a mug, and they don't know how to get it there. And I don't necessarily know how to get it there, but I figure it out, and that's really fun for me. And that's why they come to me, instead of just, you can't get it in a store.
Right. And so you have an Etsy shop, which we will definitely link to in the show notes. I highly recommend you go there, but you're basically my one friend who I tell you all the time, you're like winning at adulting. You figured out how to get out of art school and make money with your art, and you have even though your job is kind of corporate, but it's still designing and making work that way and using the stuff you learned at school. You're like the ultimate. I know that we say that What's-Her-Face won art school, but I think that maybe you're doing a pretty damn good job yourself.
I feel like I'm achieving more on like a personal level than she who we will not name. Because, with my corporate job, I do all the licensing design.
Right.
So I work with licenses like Disney and Marvel, Sanrio, which is Hello Kitty and Friends. Also Peanuts, so like Charlie Brown, Snoopy. And I do a lot of talking to those people. And it's kind of in the same realm of what I do with my Etsy and personal life, where it's a lot of negotiating, talking to them, letting them know what is possible with the materials they want to work with. They, say, Disney says we want to do, or Marvel specifically, because, they're a parent company, we want to do a series of mugs. I go, that's cool. So you want to do like Avengers mugs. Okay, here are my designs. Here's what's possible. I let them know the materials, what we can do, what is practical cost-wise. That's a big part of it. And that is exactly the same type of work I do on the personal side, where I'm working with a client and I'm telling them, you have this idea that you want, say, recent project I just did, which was the serial killer mug.
The best.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant at first, but it was pretty fun in the end. But she came to me and she wanted this very detailed portrait and all this text, and it took a little back and forth, but we figured it out and
you were able to talk her off the ledge.
Yeah, because people always come to you with fantastical ideas, and you do have to kind of give them the rundown on what's actually possible. So that's kind of the main thing that I do. But I love it because it's problem solving, and I love puzzles. I love figuring that stuff out, so it works.
That's awesome. And so I guess kind of segueing into what we wanted to talk about, or what I wanted to talk about you with, is that you recently made a decision to have, was it cosmetic or surgical surgery on your nose? I guess a little bit of both?
Yeah, it's a combination of just a little bit of cosmetic and a little bit of medical necessity, and a little bit of reconstruction surgery, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk a little, or tell us why you, well, other than the obvious that it was a medical necessity, but talk about why you made that decision or what brought you there.
So, little bit of backstory. When I was 4, I was dropped down a flight of outdoor stone stairs, and it, broke my face a little bit, specifically broke my nose significantly. But I was very young, and my parents brought me to the doctor, and he wanted to make sure I was okay. And basically, there wasn't much, and I didn't receive a huge amount of damage where, you know, I wasn't in the ER or anything crazy. It wasn't life-threatening. I basically got banged up. And doctors went, her nose is broken, everything else is kind of fine, we've bandaged her up, leave them on, and she'll heal right, but her nose is probably gonna be a bit crooked. But you can't really do anything about it when you're that young, because you're growing very rapidly.
Right.
And your nose is one of those parts of your body that grows your entire life. It's a fact of humans. So growing up, my nose is, science! So growing up, my nose was always crooked, and I had this kind of, you know, hook to it, because there was a bit of bone buildup. And my brothers used to make fun of me all the time for it. Like, excessively, because it was vastly different from their noses. My family all has, like, cute little Scandinavian button noses. So, I was the different one, and they always made fun of me for anything they could. So that added to a lot of my insecurities, and in school and things, I always felt like I wasn't pretty because I had this, like, hook nose. This crooked, you know, witch nose is what it felt like.
Right, and growing up with, like, Disney, you have, like, the witch from...
Like Snow White?
Snow White, yeah. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I've never seen Snow White all the way through, because she's in the very beginning, and my brothers made fun of me so much. I got so hysterical, and I could never finish the movie.
Oh, no.
So, she's a very significant person in my life, that evil Snow White witch.
Right.
I don't even know what her
I
name is.
I guess Snow White is, like, entirely a story about body image and about how, like, fair and beautiful is better or best. Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It really is. Because that's why, I guess, she gets cast off, because she is so beautiful and fair.
Right, and then finally she defeats the witch with her beauty or something. Like, it's...
Yeah, it's very superstitious.
Yeah, super, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
So that was something that had a lot of effect on me. And coming to college probably was the first time I started to not care.
Yeah.
Because my parents talked about, when you're old enough, when you're like 18, you should be able to, go to the doctor and they'll fix it for you. Insurance will cover it.
Right.
Because you were specifically told you can't, they said I shouldn't get any surgery done until I was 18. That's what the insurance said. So my parents just ignored it. And I know to a degree, they were a little weird about it.
Right.
Because, it is a minor cosmetic thing, but people questioned. They'd ask me if I was a half-sibling.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Yeah, and you've seen me and my sister. And you've seen pictures of my sister, and we are identical. But
yeah, you're pretty similar.
Yeah, we're almost clones of each other. We've had family members call us twins.
Yeah.
And then they see my nose and they don't think I'm related, which I think is a little messed up.
Right.
So it was it seems like such a minor thing, but it somehow worked out to be such a significant thing. And it wasn't until college where I was away from that. I was away from my family, and I started feeling very, very comfortable.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you told me that you were getting this surgery and that it was such a big deal in your life, it was kind of surprising to me because it was something that I'd never really saw. Like, you were either very good at hiding it in college or there were just too many other problems to deal with. That or I was, not paying attention because I was dealing with my own selfish things. But
we were all buried.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so it was like something I was like, oh, I don't think I knew that about you until, very recently. But
Yeah.
still.
And part of that was my relationship with Mike.
Right. Yeah.
So I just got out of a 6-year relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had a joke when we first started dating. I went, you have one, punch you're ever allowed. I always kind of propose this to people. You're allowed one punch, you can break my nose, and you're, scot-free.
Yeah, because you wanted it to be fixed.
Yeah, and it was, kind of joke, but kind of serious to a degree.
Yeah.
And, but being in a relationship helped me be so much more secure. I didn't care about how I looked.
Right, until the end of that relationship.
Yeah, and then when it ended, it was something that came right back to me, and I went, this still means so much to me. And it's not, my ex never mentioned it. It was never a thing used against me. It was never, there was no negativity there. But it still, I remembered and I realized how much I'm still hurt by it. Personally. And it's nothing on anyone else. It's my own insecurity.
Right. That's okay. We're all allowed to have insecurities.
Yeah. So one of my, moments of recovery from a big breakup, it was a very significant breakup for me. It was a very life-changing thing to get out of a 6-year relationship.
Yes.
So I started, treating myself and taking care of myself. I made tons of doctor's appointments, which is where I finally got my diagnosis for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which you can talk about if you want to.
That's been a life-changing thing. I actually made a big post about it because the other day was Rare Disease Day. So I'm a little late on the boat, but Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a genetic disorder that, in the simplest ways, affects your collagen. So the collagen is what gives you elasticity in your skin and your joints and allows things to kind of return like a rubber band. It's nice and stretchy. It goes back. I'm like an old rubber band that you pull it and it kind of flakes away and doesn't bend back. And it's caused chronic pain my entire life. I have lots of back problems, joint problems, issues with my hips dislocating, shoulders, and it's been a journey, and it took me over 10 years of going to doctors and complaining about injuries and pain to be diagnosed.
Right.
Which is a little stressful. And I'm happy to finally be diagnosed, even though there's no cure for it. There's nothing except just taking care of your body. The best thing I can do is yoga. But even though there's nothing I can do directly to, fix it, it feels so good to have a cure. To have a diagnosis.
Diagnosis, yeah.
A diagnosis.
No cure.
No cure. Never a cure.
Yeah, so you've been definitely, I know this obviously, but, self-care and taking care of yourself more and focusing on your needs, after a difficult history, in the last couple of years. So when did you decide to do the surgery? How many months ago was that? Was that last year or earlier this year? I don't remember.
I decided, it was this summer.
This past summer.
Yeah, so it was probably around August. I kind of really decided that, this is something I definitely want to do. I've thought about it for years. I've talked about it, and I decided I really want to get this done. So I finally, made an appointment to go to an ENT doctor, and, someone who specifically, if I did end up getting a procedure, would be able to accommodate me. And I went to him, and my appointment was sometime in November because I did my fun trip to Ireland, so I was away forever. It didn't take more than 10 seconds for him to go, "You need to get your nose fixed." He didn't even get out any of his instruments. Like, he looked at my nose and went, "You need to get that fixed." He could tell, because this was his profession, he could tell by looking at me how broken it was.
Yeah.
And it was a little astounding because anytime I ever brought up the fact that my nose was broken, everyone was shocked. No one realized it was crooked. It was significantly crooked. I couldn't wear glasses. I couldn't wear sunglasses because it was so crooked. Half of my, one eye would stick out if I wore anything.
It is funny because, like I told you before, I was pretty certain that after your surgery, I was not going to be able to tell the difference. I was going to be have to kind of lie, and I was going to be like, "Oh, it looks perfect. It looks so different," but it really does look worlds better. But yeah, no, I guess we just don't know what broken noses look like as a layman.
And to a degree, I didn't realize either. I was so used to living with it that it didn't, I completely forgot until, I did put on a pair of sunglasses. And, half of one eye stuck out because it was so crooked and they didn't fit on my face straight. Went, I can't wear those. And for the doctor to come in and just see instantly was a little comforting.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel less like I was being petty.
It was validating. Right?
Yeah, it was very validating. And he did look at, and my septum was totally on one side for, I'm 25 now. Incident happened when I was 4. 21 years, I've only ever been able to breathe out of one nostril.
Oh gosh. How different that must feel now.
Oh my gosh. I can smell so much more.
Wow.
Breathing is amazing. I feel like what someone with asthma must feel like when, they get that, refreshing feeling after, using an inhaler or something, and your lungs feel so much bigger. That's what it feels like. And I never knew. I never knew what I was missing out. I didn't feel like I was broken. I didn't feel like I was, my breathing was inhibited. I didn't feel any of that. The most I ever thought was, I'm uncomfortable with the way my face looks like. It was very superficial. Superficial.
Superficial, yeah. That's the word. I had superstitious in my head, so.
Yeah, I don't know why that comes to mind. Superficial. So, yeah, it was mind-blowing when it did become something that was more than a superficial feature. Especially when he actually did a full exam, and I've been having horrible migraines for years. And I always thought that they were a result of just being a woman and being hormonal.
And being stressed, yeah.
Yeah, being stressed, because that's what doctors tell you. And it wasn't true. It turns out that, my sinuses had all this crap in them that were just because, as a result of me face planting very hard and breaking bones in my face.
Yeah.
There were little, bone shards and stuff. There was junk in my sinuses.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. And because my nose never healed right, like, there's just, my face, you know, it would get achy. Kind of how if you break a bone, you kind of feel that, you know, when the weather gets weird and stuff, like with arthritis, you feel that. It's a very similar thing.
Yeah.
So, that was, like, I almost didn't believe him when he was telling me that. Like, sure, you'll fix my nose and I'll feel better. Like, my headaches will go away. Whatever. But since the surgery, because it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. My face has never felt this light. Like my cheekbones, where your sinuses are, under there.
Yeah.
I never, like, I thought I knew what being, you know, congested and being normal felt like. Yeah. But apparently I felt congested my entire life. And when I thought I was feeling congested, I was like double congested and horrible.
Oh, that must be the worst. I can't even imagine.
And it's just like amazing. And just my face feels so much better. And I feel really good about how I look too. Like, that is a huge factor.
And that's really important, obviously. It boosts your mood in all different ways. Can you talk a little bit about, like, maybe the first, maybe your, like, initial feelings after taking off the bandages for the first time?
So, when I first got the bandage off, that was last week, because I had to keep it on. I was actually lucky. They took it off a week early. Because apparently I healed really fast.
Your body was ready.
Yeah, it was so ready.
Ready for this.
I also drank so much water. I was so hydrated.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. If anyone ever has surgery, drink a ton of water. Like 8 bottles a day.
Oof.
Yeah. You pee a lot, but it's totally worth it. And so I got the bandage off early, which it was the first thing I had to get out were the stints, which are horrible. I don't.
They're like up in your nose, like keeping it up while it heals, right? Yeah.
They're think of them like pipe cleaners. They stick up there, but then they swell up.
Gross.
And they become like thicker than gummy worms. Ugh. And they're long. They're a few inches long, and they have to pull them out. So I was expecting everything I imagined, because I went into this very ignorant. I imagined like a little IUD type thing with like little sticks coming out and very cute and dainty. No. So it was very painful to get them pulled out of my face. But so they pulled those out. And I needed a minute to recoup and feel like a person again, because it feels like getting smacked in the nose. I have so much, like, sympathy for animals getting flicked in the nose because it hurts so much. Yeah. And then they took off the bandage, which is this little cap thing that's on your nose, and it's super sticky and it's adhered there, so they actually have to spatula it off. Ooh. Yeah. And that's a little painful too, because, you know, there's some resistance and it's tugging on your very tender, broken face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they finally got that off, and he showed me what I looked like. He handed me a hand mirror, and I was so shocked. I kind of, you know, what I got is a little bit of what I was expecting, but I still just didn't believe it. And I wanted to cry. I was so happy because the first thing that came to mind was I have the same nose as my brother.
Oh. Yeah.
Did he
see, like, did they have pictures of your family's noses to go off of, or did it just sort of naturally, do they follow some sort of natural pattern of your body to get it to, like, I just don't know how any of that works, so, like, I know that in plastic surgery you can kind of give them examples and draw out what you want it to look like in the end, but with something like this, were they just fixing your face so that your face sort of, the way your face sort of naturally goes, or did he see photos of your family and sort of make your nose look what your family's noses look like? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when I went in, I went prepared. I had, like, pictures ready of, my siblings and my parents and all that. Mm-hmm. And they never looked at any of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was the ENT doctor, which is eyes, ears, nose, and throat doctor, and the plastic surgeon. Because for something like this, they always, work in tandem. Mm-hmm. And so both of them went, based off of what we can tell, we can obviously tell your nose is broken. We can tell what is wrong with it, like what is incorrect by the bone growth, how it's crooked, how it should be. And they the initial thing was they drew on my face and were like, this is what your nose should look like. Based off of just looking at it and basic, anatomy. And to me, I went, okay, that looks like, what it should be, the way you're describing it. Like, that's cool. And if you want pictures, I will give them to you, but I trust you. And what I wanted more than anything was a not broken looking nose. It didn't necessarily have to be, a perfect movie star nose. I just wanted what my nose should be. Because it is broken and it is disfigured, and I just wanted that corrected. I didn't want a formal nose job. And they actually brought up, before I went into surgery, they again sat down, literally before they wheeled me in and drugged me up. I had the IV in and everything. They started drawing on my face again and talking to me about it. And said, we can do this to the tip of your nose, and we can do this. And I went, I don't want you to do any of that. I love the tip of my nose. It's perfect. All the cartilage and stuff, I think it's beautiful. It's the bone, it's the back end, it's the broken part that obviously has, dents in it and bumps in it and is very crooked. I just want you to fix that. And they went, okay, we won't touch anything but the broken part. We will just correct it.
Awesome. That's good. I've always sort of admired you for sort of knowing what you want and being able to say, this is what I want, in the moment, in that kind of pressure situation, being able to stand up for yourself. I think that's really admirable. Cause I know that in situations like that, I get that sort of anxiety where if I don't know, if I can't predict how the situation is going to end, then I sort of blank and then panic, and then I would be like, I don't care, you guys are the experts or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've always been very good at holding your own in situations like that, which I think I look up to you for that.
Thank you. It's a level of aggression, I'd say. Where I get a bit opinionated, and I don't care if the plastic surgeon thinks the tip of my nose is ugly. I like it. And he can go to hell if he doesn't like it, because it doesn't matter what he thinks. Even if he plans on giving me, what the world thinks is the most beautiful nose in the world, that's not what I want.
And you sounds like you got exactly what you wanted.
Yeah. They straightened it, and they removed, all the ugly stuff, and, filled in the missing stuff. And the response I've gotten from everyone who has seen it so far, which is maybe my coworkers, and then a couple of friends, so maybe 15 people. Everyone
not counting everybody on Facebook.
Yeah, not counting everyone on Facebook. Everyone who's seen it in person has said, I don't mean to sound offensive, but it just looks correct now. Like,
right.
that looks like what your face should look like. And that makes me very happy because that's all I ever wanted.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like some positive things are happening in 2017.
Yeah, it's a good year.
So far.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, if you have any nearby.
Yeah, I got some.
Well, that was an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm sure our listeners, or I hope that our listeners will get, maybe learn a little bit about themselves and get the courage to take a similar leap in their lives. Anybody wants to find you? Do you have anything that you want to plug?
Well, they can find me at, there's my personal website, ktwallen.com. There is Armory.
And that's K and then T, right?
Yeah. And then there's armoryfab.com.
Okay. And then your Etsy.
Yeah, and my Etsy name is also Armory Fab.
And we'll definitely have those linked in the show notes. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a pleasure.
Attention, citizens of Earth! It has come to my attention that you do not know what peril lies ahead for PSF, the imagination, truth, justice, and equality without your support.
What do you mean, omniscient narrator?
Quiet, human! The lives of such lovable characters as Princess SparkleFarts, Dr. Wu, the monthly visitor, and that weirdo who sells dildos depend entirely on the generous gifts from you, our patrons.
What's a patron?
Silence! A patron is a person who visited patreon.com/promoting secular feminism and donated their hard-earned cash to keep this show alive. They're the most important part of this world of ours, for we could not exist without them.
Wait, who are these wonderful humans?
Okay, look. I will explain that if you would just give me a moment for my dramatic pauses.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, we have some new rewards now that the show has relaunched, and puny humans like yourself might find them exciting and interesting.
Is it a puppy?
You have interrupted me for the last time, puny mortal. Now then. Patrons should note that we are now releasing weekly episodes, so they will be charged their pledged amount once a week. Those who give $1 per episode will receive bonus content such as extra sketches, extended or uncut interviews, and bloopers, which are hilarious coming from the PSF crew. $2 will get you everything in the $1 level, as well as sex and relationship advice from our very own Bella Constrictor.
Hey, that's me!
Die, human! I'm sure she can give advice from wherever this phaser took her. Now, giving $5 per episode will get you into the writer's room, where you will receive regularly published PSF erotica, short stories, poetry, and more exclusive written content. At $10, you will receive a one-time gift of a $5 gift certificate to Miss Andre's Bathhouse, along with the rewards from all the levels below this. $15 an episode will get you a one-time bonus gift from PSF, and after 3 months, a loyalty bonus gift, a 3-month subscription of beauty boxes from Miss Andre's Bathhouse. And I have to say, I loved my Galentine's Day Bathhouse box. Finally, the monthly visitor level. At $25 per episode, you will get all the benefits of the $10 levels and below, as well as a special surprise gift from PSF once a month.
What's in the box?
It's a surprise! Visit patreon.com/promoting secular feminism to become a patron today.
I'm here with Bella Constrictor, who has just returned from NaNoCon and is here to tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Yeah, so if you don't know, NaNoCon is the National Nuns Convention. It happened today, so I literally just walked in the door and now we're recording and I'm still processing a little bit, but it was sponsored by Sunday Assembly of Tennessee mostly, I guess. There's several Sunday Assembly groups in Tennessee, which is nice. Knoxville, Atlanta, and Nashville. Now that I'm looking at it. Atlanta's in Georgia, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway. And then also the Humanist Association of Middle Tennessee. There were a lot of other, sponsors and things, but those were like the main sponsors for National Nuns Convention. I believe this is the second one they've done. So
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and it was pretty awesome, very successful in my mind. The convention sold out. I believe there were a little over 400 in attendance.
That's great.
Yeah, I bought my tickets, like literally I bought my tickets, and then I got an email that was like, we've sold out! And I was like, wow, it's a good thing I bought my tickets. But, yeah, so it started not super early in the morning, but it was my day off, and so I didn't want to get up, so it was early in the morning for me.
Yeah, at least there wasn't a giant party the night before.
True, right, like what's going to happen at ReasonCon. So the beginning session was 2 workshops. There were 3 workshop sessions, and basically a bunch of different workshops going on, and you had to pick 3 out of a bunch of great workshops that you wanted to go to, and each workshop ran 3 times, right? So, hold on, sorry, my computer's trying to turn off in 10 minutes. Don't do that. Okay.
No, come back to us.
Alright, we're fine. I caught it in time.
Okay.
But the very first one that we went to was called the Podcast Palooza, and it was basically a secular podcasters panel.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and so I'm going to try really hard to remember the podcasts. Each time they ran it, they had like different podcasters, because I think a few of them like left and a couple came in like in and out. They even, at one point at the end, the guy that was running it asked if I wanted to stay for the next panel, because I raised my hand when he asked if anyone had a podcast. And I plugged us.
Yay!
Yeah, I was like, it's not my podcast, but... Which I say all the time, because I'm like, I have a podcast. It's not mine. I share it with a lot of people.
Hey, you're part of the podcast. It's yours just as much as it is the rest of ours. We are all invested.
Exactly. But I want to make sure I give everybody the credit they deserve. But yeah, so let's see. There was... I'm not going to remember their names, but I'll remember the podcast. There was Podunk Polymath, right? Or Polymath Podunk? It's Podunk Polymath, yeah. Yeah, Podunk Polymath. It was Chris.
Yep.
I just connected with him on Facebook, so forgive me if I get the names wrong. The female host from... I'm looking at my partner because I want him to tell me what they're called. Oh, he's looking it up. Never mind. We can cut that part out. Or I can cut it out if you want. Or not. Oh, good. He's handing me his phone. Okay, so we have the Not Another Atheist podcast, Jen Aldrich. She was on that panel. Joe Kindick from Unbuckling the Bible Belt was on the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to butcher this last name, but I think it's Cass Midgley.
Yeah. Yep.
From Everyone's Agnostic.
Yep. He's coming to ReasonCon.
Oh, good. He was pretty cool.
Actually, I think most of these people are coming to ReasonCon now I think about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Trucker Drake from The Atheist in the Trailer Park was the other one. Bobby C. from No Religion Required is on the list of the panelists, but he wasn't in the particular workshop that I went to. He might have come in later during the day. But
well, you'll definitely get a feel of him at ReasonCon.
Yeah. But Ari Stillman from Atheist Manifesto was there as well. And
awesome.
They,
they're so great.
Yeah. It was funny. I gave them a hug and wanted to keep having a conversation, but then suddenly they had ran out the door. And I was like, oh, they have somewhere to be.
Oh, yeah.
It was fine. That happened a lot, where I just ran up and was like, here's a hug, and then I was like, oh, and you're gone
Goodbye.
now. Okay. But
that is totally why I got business cards for ReasonCon. I have business cards for ReasonCon because I'm like, I keep hugging all these people and they don't remember who I am. So I'm like, I'm just going to be like, here's a hug and a business card.
That's
goodbye.
Smart. That's really smart. I have business cards, but my website is non-existent right now, so they're just useless. But yeah, so that particular panel was really interesting. I think the most interesting thing that I got out of it was how many people in the crowd knew nothing about podcasts.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a bunch of other people who wanted to be podcasters. It was a bunch of people who were like, why do you do this, and what the fuck are podcasts, and how much money are you making?
Who are podcasts?
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. It was more of a Q&A session, so there wasn't a lot of talking. A lot of them talked about the different mics that they use.
Shot talk.
Yeah. Took some notes on their equipment and how they do that, and kind of the cost of a podcast, which a lot of people, I think, don't even recognize that there are costs to a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of investment in time and money. To just get the equipment to do a podcast, let alone promote a podcast.
Right. So that was interesting. It was good for me too, because a lot of just jumping on PSF. I put a lot of time in it, sure, and sometimes the money, though I already had the headset, and I didn't recognize that there were. I mean, I think I already knew, but you know what I mean? It wasn't immediately in my brain that it costs money to upload to Spreaker and things like that.
Yeah.
Not a ton of money, but enough that it makes...
It builds up.
It builds up. But yeah, so that was that panel. I stayed and chatted with a couple people afterwards. It turns out that a lot of the, Jen Aldrich, I think her name was, from the Not Another Atheist podcast, she actually lives in the same town I live in. So,
oh, sweet.
Yeah, we'll definitely hook up and hang out, I'm sure.
She's cool.
Yeah. And now I have podcasts that I guess I need to add to my 70 podcasts that I already subscribe to, because now I feel guilty for not listening to my friend's podcast,
Oh, don't feel guilty. It's okay. They don't listen to ours.
But yeah, so that was fun. And then the next workshop was directly after that we went to. We went to a Staying Sane in an Unsane World, which was a couple secular therapists.
Cool.
Dr. Brenda Quinn and Dr. Stephen Davidson. And they just did a kind of a talk on how to, how to self-care when you have no community or you're about to lose your community. And then they did how to find they talked about how you can find a therapist. Obviously the Secular Therapist Project is one way. They also sort of troubleshooted how you talk to a therapist about the money that how much is it going to cost for me to come? Is that's too expensive? Do you have a sliding scale type? Don't be afraid to ask those questions and to see if the therapist, and even one thing they suggested, which I didn't even know about, was if you've got a college in your area that has I'm assuming a graduate, not an undergraduate, but a graduate program for psychology, they probably have a clinic that that they run that you go and you'll talk to a student therapist, but that student therapist is being supervised by a really good therapist who's teaching them how to be a student. And it only costs like $10, maybe $15 a session.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so there are apparently is at least one in our area, like in the Nashville area, my area. But it's like something to look into. Kind of like how if you've got a beauty school in your area, you can go get really cheap haircuts. And they might fuck up your hair, but, they're probably going to do a good job. That's not what they said about the therapist, but that's kind of how I feel like it is. It's like you can go to a student and have them, run you through your problems, but they might, fuck up your brain a little bit, but it's not going to be too bad. It's just a brain. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna tell you anything that's gonna be dangerous to yourself or anything. That's pretty much a given.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely an interesting option that I had no idea was a thing. And then I realized that one of my new Nashville friends was manning the table at one of the tables for Pitchstone Publishing, and so it was full of books, and I went nowhere else. No, I'm kidding. But I did spend a lot of time there at that table after that. But let me see, what other talks? Then we had a big break for lunch. I didn't go to the third workshop session because I wanted to go get burgers, and so we left the facility and went and got burgers.
Yeah.
But happens. Then there were 6 TED-style talks, just somebody going up and giving a speech. And the ones that stood out for me the most were Callie Wright went up and talked about why atheists should be the best allies, which is not a very good name for her speech. She basically was talking about how when an atheist comes on and asks, on Facebook, why an LGBTQ issue or any issue like that, why is that, what does that have to do with atheism? And how, that upsets her because religion has harmed, because of the way religion views, queer issues and gender roles and things like that, it has affected her relationships, because I can
see the logic there.
Yeah, and so
Absolutely.
she, I'm not gonna. That's a story. She told a story about her relationship with her grandmother, which was very personal, and I would prefer to have go listen to her podcast and listen to her tell that story. But
I saw somewhere on Facebook there was some buzz going on about it earlier today, and I saw somewhere that it was going to be recorded, so hopefully that will be available on the internet soon.
But that was really awesome. I got to go and I gave Callie a hug, and I met her girlfriend. I don't know how to say it. Celeste? Okay. I've only seen it spelled on Facebook, so no one get mad at me for that one. Celeste, right? Yeah, that was fun. I was really happy to meet all these people that I've only met on Facebook. Which brings me to probably my embarrassing moment of the day when I looked over to my right. I was hanging out at the book table, and Matt Dillahunty was just standing next to me, and my brain was like, oh, say hi to that person, introduce yourself, because that's what I wanted to do, because I have been, I did that to Seth Andrews. I ran up to him and was like, you don't know who I am, but I want to say hi to you, But when I shook Matt Dillahunty's hand, because in my mind just froze, because I was like, I know a lot about you. We, sort of have bumped into each other on Facebook. I'm friends with your wife.
things like that. But it's like all that came out of my mouth was like, we have the same atheist secular mutual friends on Facebook. And he just like, looked at me and then was like, cool. And I was like, I have nothing else to say. Like, I didn't have a conversation after, hi, I'm Cassis. And so, that's my real name. That's fine. I don't mind telling people, hi, I'm Bella, which is not my real name. I don't mind people knowing who my real name is, so it's fine. Yeah, and then he just sort of walked away, and I was like, oh, that's not how that was supposed to go. I kind of redeemed myself a little bit later, but it's fine.
I was going to say, you have ReasonCon to redeem yourself also, because Matt Dillahunty is one of our speakers.
Yeah.
So that'll be better, probably.
Well,
but you'll probably be so busy, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's how those things always happen.
Mm-hmm. I guess, what else? What else happened? Oh, so Callie's speech, and then Gail Jordan spoke. She's the CFO? I don't know. She's one of the top people from recovering from religion. And so she spoke about, what they do and how they help people. And she basically read a bunch of excerpts from different calls or different conversations they've had with people who call into the hotline. Mm-hmm. And that was, I'm pretty familiar with the hotline and what they do and how those calls go, but one of the things that ran like really particularly true with me was people commenting on the fact that, if I had been, like, how do I reconcile my my education? Like, I was homeschooled, religiously homeschooled. How do I reconcile that? Like, if I had been raised with a very heavily science-based education, I would be in a science field right now, or something like that. And I feel that very strongly myself. Like, I wasn't homeschooled for religious reasons. I was homeschooled because we moved a lot as a kid. My mom wanted me to have a steady education, but that came with the fact that she was not very well educated herself. Although I'm happy with my education, but there were gaps, and one of those was science. And I feel like if I had a good education, a very heavily science-based education, I'd probably be a mortician. Like, I would have gone to medical school and studied how to cut up dead bodies, because I'm fascinated by that and really like it, but don't like to write papers and went to art school instead. So
this sounds like the beginning of a world domination plot. Like, I'm really fascinated by the idea of cutting up dead bodies, but I went to art school instead.
Yeah.
And this is how the horror story began. Oh, what exactly? There was something going around on Facebook the other day that was like, read the first sentence of a book, and then the next sentence is, and that's when the murders began. You just did one of those where, like, I would have put, and then the murders began after that.
Oh gosh, I have been listening to so many like forensic files and I totally get that. That's, but yeah, so we're coming up on 20 minutes, and before we end and head off to the next segment, is 20 minutes good for?
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Good. There were, just to name what the other speakers were, I totally skipped over St. Patrick, or Patrick Horst, I believe is his name. He's sort of the runner. He organized NaNoCon, and he did a speech or a talk. Jim Helton did a talk, and Mandisa Thomas, I'm pretty sure she's a part of Black Nonbelievers, but I could be wrong. But she did a talk it's called Fear of a Black Atheist, and basically just discussed things like how religion has, affected the Black community in different ways, and how to be a good ally. So, well, and then JT Eberhard did.
Yeah.
Eberhard. I'm sorry. I used to my best friend when I was a really small child was Eberhard, so it sticks in my head. But he taught some people, I think Callie came up and he taught some people how to project their voice and sing very loudly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then Matt came on and lectured us all about whatever Matt likes to lecture about, and it was amazing. You know.
As per usual.
Yeah, and there were some good bands and things like that, but like I said, a lot of times I was hanging out and reading books, and the Pitchstone Publishing, if you don't know the kind of books they put out, it's just about everything you could possibly want. That's what Women Beyond Belief, who is that? We just had her on.
Oh, Karen Garst.
Yeah, that's the publishing company her book is published through.
Excellent.
So
that is awesome. Yeah,
they
she was
were
great.
represented. Yeah. But yeah, so that was NaNoCon.
Me so amped up for ReasonCon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited, and I probably will be healthy enough to actually enjoy ReasonCon this year. Yay.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for reporting back from NaNoCon. And,
yeah, no problem.
Everybody listening, look forward to meeting all the podcasters and all your Facebook friends from the atheist and secular community at ReasonCon on April 21st and 22nd, mostly 22nd.
And get your tickets soon.
Yeah, get your tickets at reasonnc.com. I'm going to be there. PSF is going to be there. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Where's the best place to meet your online friends? Where's the best party where the fun never ends? Where will Bobby Carey be our MC too? I bet you'd go if you only knew. It's ReasonCon, it's ReasonCon in Hickory, North Carolina. It's ReasonCon, and the speakers couldn't be finer. We've got Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ra, Callie Wright and Lawrence Krauss. We've got god-awful movies coming to you live, and Jim Craig and Shelley Siegel really jive. It's ReasonCon, meet the people in your favorite podcasts. It's ReasonCon, the conference where you'll have a blast.
It is a dark time for the imagination. The forces of evil from Planet Chump have marshaled their powers under the banner of the Patriarchal Obstructionist Obfuscation Police, or POOP, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the imagination. The Royal Intelligence Bureau has been destroyed. Director Sir has disappeared. Princess SparkleFarts, the last secret agent of RIB, leads a ragtag band of misfits in the new resistance forces of the Outer Space Underground. From on board the OSU ship Femme Fatale, SparkleFarts and her new friends strike out against the forces of Poop and their leader Lord Chump to bring freedom to the galaxy. Captain Princess Diary entry number 69. 69. A courier beam accident has trapped First Officer Sassy Pants and I inside a ship in a bottle belonging to Chief Engineer O'Fortune. This accident occurred while Sassy Pants and I were attempting to beam to planet Cliche A through the Trope Nebula while I was enjoying a Martian burrito, which I'm sure had nothing to do with the accident, and I mentioned merely because it was such a tasty burrito, while simultaneously looking at a ship in the bottle that Chief O'Fortune was showing us. In retrospect, it may have been a bit busy.
You spilled guacamole on the quantum field capacitor.
I'm sure that was a coincidence.
My sarcasm circuits are overheating, so I will forgo a response to that statement, sir.
Analysis, Sassy Pants. How did this happen?
The most likely explanation is that BS compensators were somehow compromised due to a non-guacamole-involved accident, coupled with interference from the Trope Nebula, and we have materialized inside Chief O'Fortune's ship in a bottle.
So we got shrunk down?
Or the ship has been made large, sir. Relativity is a harsh mistress.
Fascinating. So how do we get out?
I've been calculating all of the parameters of our situation, sir.
And?
To use popular colloquial nomenclature, sir, we're boned.
Damn. Is there no hope, Sassy Pants? Have we no chance?
About the same chance that you will cease referring to me as Sassy Pants.
We're doomed!
If we are here, sir, then that means that there is a possibility that O'Fortune and the rest of the away team may have made it safely to the surface of Cliche A. No doubt they are looking for us, and may discover what has happened.
I hope so. It's rather dark in here, and I can barely see anything.
Apparently, the bottle is in an unlit area, Captain. Perhaps a pouch or another storage container.
Perhaps. If it weren't for our trusty space flashlights, we'd be totally blind.
Well, you would be blind, sir. My visual sensors can see a large range of the electromagnetic spectrum.
And what do your robot eyes see, Sassy Pants?
Not much, Captain. The container the bottle is in appears to be dense, but rather warm.
What temperature is it exactly, Sassy Pants?
37 degrees Celsius.
Which is what in non-robot language?
Celsius is a standard unit of measurement used by most of the galaxy, sir.
Unicorns use the unicorn measurement system. How many unicorns is 37 degrees Celsius?
There is no such measurement system.
Yes, there is. It was invented by Dr. Cornelius Glitterballs. He made millions of unicorns from his invention.
Unicorn is also a currency.
Yes, also a measure of volume, height, and time.
That is absurd.
Yes, but it makes conversions easy. There are 3 unicorns in a unicorn. A unicorn is 10 unicorns wide, and a unicorn has 365 unicorns in it. Simple.
Now, my absurdity circuit is overheating.
I'm a bit warm, too. Wherever we are, it's very humid. Also, there's a familiar smell. The ship smells like my communicator. Whoops! Speak of the devil. This is the Captain Princess speaking.
You keep your communicator in your vagina?
Doesn't everybody? Shh! Sassy Pants. It's O'Fortune, and she seems upset. Calm down, Wheelie. I can't understand. You're talking too fast. What? Well, that might explain the humidity. And the smell. How in the heck did we get in there? Oh, and it fits? Still, I mean, that's impressive, and leprechauns are so tiny. Okay, well, I'm not sure how we can help from this end, but I'll let you know if we can think of something. Captain out.
Dare I ask?
Apparently, the courier beam accident caused us to materialize inside Willie O'Fortune's ship in a bottle, and the bottle to materialize inside Willie O'Fortune.
Well, that's disturbing.
And apparently it's really jammed up there, too. She said normally she wouldn't mind as she's a bit of a size queen, but...
My TMI sensors are redlining, Captain. Perhaps we should refrain from discussing the Chief's insertion preferences.
If you insist, bottles can be very dangerous for that sort of thing, you know. For us organic folks with meat pockets, it can create a vacuum which can cause the bottle to get stuck if you're not careful.
Please stop.
Inserting foreign bodies into any body cavity can pose risks. However, it can be done safely. One should avoid inserting food, especially sugary foods in the region, because of bacteria.
Unnecessary information.
Other things people should avoid inserting into the vagina or anus are sharp objects, objects with flat bottoms, which can also cause vacuums to form, and of course, small animals.
Can robots throw up?
You know, douching is also unnecessary and can interfere with an otherwise healthy environment.
Robots never douche.
Good. It's bad. I learned a lot as a human dildo outlet store spokesperson.
Did O'Fortune mention how they were going to retrieve us?
They're reconfiguring the courier beam right now. Should only take a few hours.
Joy.
Meanwhile, I'll entertain you by describing all of the different things you can stick in your vagina.
Please, no.
You can use dildos, vibrators, fingers, tongues, penises, all well lubricated, of course. Space. The boundless three-dimensional extent in which objects and events have relative position and direction, and void between celestial bodies. These are the adventures of Princess SparkleFarts and the crew of the Femme Fatale on its continuing fight for all that is right, true, and equitable. Join us next time for another derivative adventure. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this week. We look forward to hearing back from you about what you liked about this episode and what we can do to be better content creators for you, our audience. I'm right here with Miss Anthrope to chat a little bit about things that have been going on lately. Oh, my surgery went well, and
Yay.
I'm walking without a cane even, which was something that before the surgery would not have been possible. So thanks, science.
Wow, already?
Yeah.
That is so great. I'm so glad.
It's been a week and
I
a half.
realize I have done a poor job keeping up and asking about how you're doing, so apologize for that, but I'm
That's
so glad
okay.
you're doing better.
Yeah, I would have reported something if it had gotten worse, probably. But yeah, I'm doing a lot better, and I've been staying with my grandmother, and I'm currently recording in her bedroom, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crosses looking
Oh
at
my
me right now.
goodness.
Yeah,
That's a little
why I'm so quiet.
intimidating.
So to those of you out there who are closeted, I've been there. I understand your reasons for being closeted and others' reasons for not being closeted. So I can definitely see both sides of the coin there, but if you are in the closet, I want you to know that you're not alone.
As a closet atheist and closet gay, I appreciate that a lot. Well, I'm a half closet gay. I actually went home this weekend to talk to my dad and tell him about my girlfriend, and then some family emergency happened, and I was like, this is not the time to damn my eternal soul to hell in front of my father. So that was he started talking about falling off the path to righteousness for a moment of pleasure and stuff, and he was talking about someone who was abusing drugs, but I was just like, this is not going to be the good time. Sometimes you need to feel out the situation, and that was
it's really funny how this is such a religious area and also one of the highest of opioid drug abusers.
I wonder if there is a correlation.
Actually, I doubt it, but I mean...
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I like to...
happiness factor, I could certainly see correlating there. Or the depression and poverty, that kind of thing. I could see how that would be a problem.
I'm not sure if you've seen this, but our area that we live in was rated as one of the 10 worst places to live as far as quality of life in the United States.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised.
Yeah, they took a lot of factors, unemployment rates, health, mental health, satisfaction, wages, stuff like that, and put it all together. And there was some kind of big study on it. And we were, I think, number 2. So
we're number 2.
We're number 2. We suck. Get out while you can.
Yeah, it's rough, but that's why we have things like ReasonCon in this area, because it's most important to have it where it's most needed.
Oh yeah.
To a certain extent. And I just wish that we could spread the word about it more in this local area. But I'm, recovering from back surgery. Otherwise, I would be out there with flyers and stuff like that. Speaking of which, I should design a flyer.
Ooh, that would be nice. I can definitely hand out flowers. God, I would like to hand out flowers as well. I could definitely distribute flyers here where I am right now. If I go home, then that would be a very different story. But I'm pretty out as an atheist on campus, and I have a lot of friends who are atheists as well. I have one specific professor who I talk to about PSF a lot, actually, and I feel like she would be really, really into. I don't know why I haven't told her about ReasonCon yet. I'm sure she knows about it because she listens to the show, but I will ask her if she wants to go because I think she'd be into it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's cool. And then, if I went home, then that'd be a different story. I actually just bought my ReasonCon ticket today because I, for some reason, took this long to find out if I could get off work that day. So It's official. I'm off work and I will be attending ReasonCon. And
Awesome.
Since it is in my hometown, I will be telling my mother that I'm at work. But I'll see you there. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Just don't tag me in anything on Facebook and we'll be cool.
Yeah. I had thought about like giving out like different like name tags or things if people didn't want to be tagged and stuff on Facebook or something, because I was always concerned that people would be outed at ReasonCon or the like, but we've not had a concern about that so far.
There could be something like a sticker on that you can put on your name tag if you're closeted and want to remain that way. Something like that, so people know, so that it's not like highly obvious, like, hey, look at me, I'm the closet atheist over in the corner. You can just be like, oh, there's a star on her name tag. Let's make sure if I tag her on Facebook that it's not in that kind of thing, because I hopefully will make a lot of new friends there. So I would not like them to out me to my religious family because of that.
Yeah,
at least until I'm financially able to not live with my religious family.
Yeah, wait to come out until you're financially independent. That would be good, or at least somewhat, because you're already partially out, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. I don't know. I'm like half out. I'm more in the wardrobe than the closet, I guess. Like, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with that metaphor. I'm in Narnia.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been really nice chatting with you and catching up a little bit, since we really haven't talked since the surgery. But I am going to give everybody our contact info and where they can find other episodes. Do you have anything else that you wanted to mention real quick before we wrap up?
I want to mention that I love you all and thank you for listening. Aww. That was cheesy as hell, but I'm totally cheesy as hell.
I'm over here. But it was so sweet too.
It's heartfelt. It comes from deep within. This podcast brings a lot of joy to my life.
Oh, me too. So much. I'm like an addict with this podcast. I'm like, I gotta get my fix of doing this podcast.
For me, it's more like a toddler that I'm like, oh, I need to work on that today and spend time with it. And it's kind of annoying, but then I'm like, oh, I love it so much. When we get an episode out, I'm like, we produced that. We made that together.
Yeah.
This is our child.
Aw, a baby.
We're like a big poly family.
We totally are.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't exist if it weren't for our audience. So thank you so much, audience and patrons, for making this episode possible. We love and adore you. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at promotingsecularfeminism@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/promotingsecularfeminism. On Twitter, we are at Secular Feminism, and we're something on Instagram.
We are promoting secular feminism on Instagram as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to do some like memes and stuff of out of context quotes from our episodes, because you know how much fun that would be.
Ooh, like Sacrilege used to, correct?
Yes.
Right person?
Sacrilege.
Yes. Okay,
yep.
Making sure I got the right person. Yes, we are promoting secular feminism on Instagram, and there's a link to the podcast on our Instagram as well. So it's just ridiculously connected. I need to put some more pictures up there. That would be helpful if I would do that.
I like pictures. I'll send a recovery.
I can start working on that this week.
Awesome. Also,
our Instagram will be way better soon.
Oh, yes. So many things. And if you have awesome things you want to send us, then you can do that on all of those different resources. Also, if you want to hear other episodes, you can find them on our website, promotingsecularfeminism.com. You can also find them on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play, where we have our very own app, so you can get episodes as soon as they're released on the app. And you can also plug our RSS feed into any of your favorite podcast apps. I think that's everything. Oh, and if you'd like to support us, you can go to patreon.com/promoting secular feminism to subscribe and donate anywhere from $1 or more to each episode. Or you can also support us non-financially by going on things like iTunes or wherever you listen to this show and rating and reviewing this podcast and letting us know what you love about the show so that other people will listen to it also. We love y'all so much. Have a great week, and hopefully I will be at my best for ReasonCon. I'm so excited. We'll see you there.
Yay! I can't wait.